Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to go over a few examples of using color management in FlexiSign. We're going to do 2, 3, maybe 4 examples. Different styles of examples, things that might happen in your shop. And just follow along with the steps that I show you here to get the most out of color management. To begin with, I'll tell you what, let's just build a file here. We're just going to build a vector file. Let's type in some text. We're going to do the sunset. Let's do cafe, something like that, and we'll make that nice bright red, maybe about like this or so. Okay, and we want to add some graphics to that. Let's add a circle over here, kind of a sunset thing. We're going to make that maybe orange, give it some stripes. We'll give it enough stripes to kind of get us something that looks kind of neat. Let's do something like that. That looks good. Alright. Let's also add a couple of things in here. Let's take and add a little stripe in here like this, maybe about that long or so. We'll do that in red also, and drag down a copy, and then in between right here I'm going to type in M-A Margarita Night. I got it misspelled. We'll right click on it, Margarita, there it is. And I'm going to make that green, nice lime green. Stretch it till it's about the size of this particular piece up here. I'm also going to add a little, just a tiny little shadow behind it. We'll do that in black, like that. I think I'll add a shadow back here too. That looks kind of good. A little shadow back there just to offset it. That looks pretty nice. Okay, move things around the way we like them, you know, just to kind of set them in the right place, whatever. So here we go. I'm going to turn off my fill stroke editor. So here we've got our particular image. Now we want to preview it. We don't want to just assume it's going to print like this, because we could be very disappointed. In fact, if we just hit soft proof right here, you see it looks terrible. You know, it's got dark orange and dark green and dark red, and I mean it looks absolutely horrid. So we want to get as close as possible to what we see on our screen right now, don't you think? So how do we do that? We do it with color management. Remember, this is just vector artwork. I got text and shapes. That's all that's in here. So first let's start with the edit menu, and we'll go down to color settings. That's the start of it all. So first thing we're going to do is color settings. Now we have display settings, input, profile, rendering intent. We've gone through all 3 of those. Let's talk about how to use them now. I check my monitor. It's set to Adobe RGB, and that's really not a good setting for me. I used a Graytag Macbeth i1, and I made a profile for my monitor. So let's add that in. Click on Add, and I don't see it in my list here, so that means we have to go to that place that Bill Gates tells us to go to, which is Windows. So we'll go to Windows, and then we'll scroll down to System 32. We'll scroll down to Spool. After you do this once or twice, you'll memorize this location, Drivers, and Color. So there's all my profiles. And I've got one in here that I use pretty successfully called a generic LCD monitor profile. That's on your CD too, by the way. So I'm going to open that one up. And I'm not using a Canon. I want to print to a Roland, I think. Let's go to Roland VP Versacam, and let's use Orcal Media, shall we? Go down and find some Orcal Media. There we go. We're fortunate. We have a profile for Orcal Media. So we've set up our settings here, first of all, to reflect our monitor, printer, and material. That's essential. Next, we go to Input Profile. What are we going to do here? Well, where did we make this? We made this in Flexi using our monitor for the basis of color. So I don't think Adobe's right. Let's switch that to our monitor profile also. And in terms of rendering intent, we're only concerned with vectors and text. There's no CMYK in here, just RGB. So we want to make nice bright colors. It's not really a color matching situation, so let's use saturation in this case. And in fact, for my red colors over here, those are text. I'll tell you what we want to do is maybe turn on the red here so I get a nice bright red color up there like that, pure hue, right? Now let's soft proof it. That's not bad. You know, here's without and here's with. I mean, my orange is just a hair off over here, so I tell you what, I'm going to click on it, and let's go to the color mixer up here, And let's see if we can strengthen that orange a little bit. I'm just going to move a little more red into it, or go this way. You know, you can move it back and forth like this, maybe back and forth like that, or back and forth this way. You know, I'm just trying to get something that's a little oranger, you know, some kind of color that's a little bit better. That's all I'm trying to do here. And I kind of like that right there. That's perfectly fine. So what we've done is I used this orange originally, and I'll go back to that. I kind of like that too. So we'll stick with that. And all we're doing here is we've set up our color management. We're doing our saw proof so that what we see is what we get. And I think we're in pretty good shape here to print this graphic out and make our customer happy. That's the first example. Now let's study a second one. In our second example, we're going to open a bitmap. It's kind of a different kind of